Have you ever had the feeling that after 40, your mind has become your biggest saboteur? It's as if every attempt at change, every promise of a fresh start, is swallowed by an invisible force that drags you back to the same place. You wake up determined, but go to sleep frustrated. You promise yourself things will be different, but deep down, you feel trapped in an internal labyrinth, where the exhaustion isn't just physical, but of the soul. It's not laziness. It's not weakness. It's a silent war between what you want and what your brain has learned to fear. Rumi wrote, "You have to keep breaking its heart until it opens." But what if what's breaking you isn't the pain of change, but rather the resistance to change? The truth is brutal. Your brain doesn't want you to evolve. He wants to protect you, even if it means keeping you small, even if it condemns you to stagnation. Because for the mind, comfort is security, and discipline, it's a threat. Discipline demands confronting one's shadows. It demands silence, choice, presence, and the brain learned to escape from that, to rationalize the delay, to justify the escape. He whispers, "You're too old to start. You never managed it. Why would you now? Why try if you're just going to fail again?" But what if I told you that you can trick that brain? Did you know there's a spiritual loophole, an inner code that allows you to reprogram not only your habits, but also the way you see yourself? At 40, life demands more from you than just goals. She's asking you to be mindful. She demands presence. Only those who silence the chaos of the mind can hear the call of the soul. Therefore, this video is not about cold productivity techniques. It's about emotional alchemy, about how to use your pain, your frustrations, your setbacks as raw material for your discipline. Because the discipline that transforms doesn't come from reprimands. It is born from healing. It emerges when you stop fighting against yourself and begin to walk with who you truly are. If you feel tired of trying and failing, if everything inside you is asking for direction, but your body won't obey, if there is a void that seems to grow larger each year, you are not alone. This video is an invitation. No more New Year's resolutions, but for a silent pact with your soul. Stay with me until the end, because what nobody told you is that discipline, after 40, doesn't begin with effort. It starts with the delivery, and that's where the key lies. Before we continue, take a deep breath with me. Feel what's awakening inside you, because this feeling is not just a desire. It is your soul recognizing a forgotten truth. If something resonated with you in these words, write it in the comments below. I choose to free myself from sabotage. Yes, right. Not just for engagement, but because when you declare something aloud, even in text, you're creating a break in the old cycle. You're starting to reprogram. Now, if this content makes sense to you, if he spoke to that silent place that no one sees, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. This isn't just a gesture of support. It's a signal to your brain that you're choosing a new path. And I want you to be here for the next chapters of this journey. Because the discipline you seek isn't found in productivity books. It is in the spaces between the words, in the pause between one thought and another, in the courage to allow yourself to hear what hurts and still move forward. Now that you're here, let's delve deeper. Because only those who truly understand what's behind the sabotage can free themselves from it. And what comes next? It will show you exactly where that hidden key is. Do you feel that despite all your efforts, discipline always slips through your fingers? It's as if there's an invisible force pulling you back every time you try to move towards change. It's a silent cycle that has been repeating itself for years, maybe decades. You promise yourself you're going to do it this time, you set goals, you plan your week, you wake up motivated one day, and the next day you already feel exhausted before you even begin. It's not that you don't want to. You do want to, with all your might. But there's something deeper, something that can't be solved with yet another spreadsheet, another self-help video, another productivity app. It's as if something inside you is tired even before you've begun. And that something is her soul. A soul that at 40 has already carried more emotional weight than any routine could handle. You don't fail because you're weak. You fail because you are trying to build on top of unhealed ruins. Do you know what nobody tells you about discipline after 40? It's no longer about having willpower. It's about understanding why you sabotage yourself even when you want to change so badly. To recognize the void that has been created within you by years of abandonment, rejection, pressure, and broken promises, many of them made by yourself. You start, but a part of you doubts. You try, but you feel that something inside is still resisting. It's not fear of the new, it's the fear of being disappointed again. Because you've tried so many times that now your mind has learned to protect you from yourself. This is the cruelest prison. When your own mind begins to doubt your ability to transform, she creates emotional shortcuts. She sabotages her own habits. She invents logical excuses, but they are fueled by unconscious wounds. And you know what hurts the most? That's because, out there, the world continues to demand productivity, demanding performance, as if you were a machine. But you are not. You are someone who has already experienced losses, setbacks, and frustrations. You are someone who carries not only your own pain, but often the pain of others as well. You are a mother, father, son, daughter, partner, professional, and in the midst of all that, you forgot to be yourself. The discipline the world demands of you no longer fits your tired body, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. This means the path needs to change. Rumi said, "Why do you remain in prison when the door is wide open? But you might not even realize you're trapped, because prison is silent. It disguises itself as routine. It hides in the phrases you repeat. I don't have time. I'll start later. It's too late for me. That's just how I am." These sentences are invisible walls, built little by little each time you failed and weren't welcomed. Every time you demanded more of yourself than you could handle. Every time you were ignored when you most needed to be seen. At 40, emotional pain no longer screams. It whispers. It manifests as constant tiredness, lacking enthusiasm, the difficulty of maintaining focus, the feeling of merely existing but not truly living. And yet, you try, you start over, because there's a part of you that still believes. Even if it's small, even if silent, that's why you're here. Because inside you there is a soul yearning for direction, requesting reconnection, not with unattainable goals, but with your essence, that part of you that already knows how to get back up. It's just waiting to be heard. The discipline you need isn't based on being penalized. It is based on healing. You need to stop trying to change out of obligation and begin to change for love. Love for who you are. Love for its history. Love for the parts of yourself that are still trying to breathe, even when drowning in demands. Have you ever noticed how your brain reacts when you try to change? He resists. Not because it's bad, but that's because he was trained, conditioned, shaped by past experiences. He believes that the comfort zone, even if painful, is safer than the unknown. He associates change with pain, with effort, at risk of failing again. And that's why he says no. But this no isn't personal, it's protection. Your brain wants to keep you alive, but those who want to keep you alive don't always know how to help you evolve. That's why discipline needs to begin in the soul, because only the soul knows what it is to go through pain and still choose the path of light. You can feel it, can't you? Do you feel a force pulling you toward a new version of yourself? But you also feel like something is holding you back. This inner tension is the conflict between what your soul wants and what your mind fears. It is in this space between wanting and fearing that discipline fails. Because without a cure, every attempt becomes a burden. Too much weight will drag you down. But with lightness, with understanding, with reconnection, discipline becomes a bridge. It guides you with simple steps to a life where you no longer need to run away from yourself. A place where you wake up and feel a sense of purpose, where you choose consciously, where you don't need to force yourself, because it's already flowing with who you are. And this is not magic. It's emotional reprogramming. It's about tricking the brain with the truth. It's about silencing fear with presence. It's about stopping the chase for control and starting to walk with purpose. But to do that, you need to look honestly inside yourself. No judgment, no rush, and with compassion. Comment below if this resonates with you. Tell me in the comments, I recognized myself in those words. Or simply, that's me. Because writing is more than just engagement. It's declaring that you're ready to see yourself. Truthfully, with soul, with courage. The root of your difficulty isn't in your routine, your habits, or your busy schedule. The root lies in a quieter place, deeper, a place you rarely access consciously, but which determines almost everything you do and what you fail to do. That's where the real blockage resides. Because what you call procrastination is often just the visible surface of a very old emotional pattern that continues to operate silently within you. Rumi said, "You have to keep breaking your heart until it opens." But what he didn't say directly is that most of us spend our lives trying to prevent our hearts from breaking again. And it's this attempt to avoid pain that, ironically, keeps us trapped within it. Your brain has learned to resist. It has learned to fear surrender. And this whole mechanism, which seems to be just a difficulty with discipline, is actually a form of emotional survival. You are not undisciplined. You are acting in self-defense. Your mind isn't failing you. It's protecting you. She created such a subtle field of resistance that you no longer even realize you're living within it. You only feel the weight. You only feel the exhaustion. You only feel that you're always sabotaging yourself, always putting things off, always believing that this time it will work, only to see everything crumble again shortly after. But what is truly crumbling is the illusion that you can change without surrendering to what needs healing. Discipline without healing becomes punishment, and punishment doesn't transform. It paralyzes. You've punished yourself too much. You've demanded too much of yourself. You've compared yourself too much. And the result is this tired heart, this tense body, this soul that lives on the surface, while deep down, everything screams for silence, for pause, for rescue. It's time to acknowledge what's really at stake. You're not just trying to wake up early, maintain healthy habits, or keep promises to yourself. You're trying to regain control of a life that for too long seemed to slip through your fingers. And this control doesn't come from force, it comes from the delivery. Your mind has been programmed to resist pain, and that's natural. But the problem is that to heal, you need to go through what's hurting. You need to face what has been denied, silenced, hidden. And that's where the spiritual root begins to appear. Because discipline isn't just mental, it's an external expression of an internal order. And if everything is in chaos inside, it's impossible to maintain consistency outwardly. You can force discipline for a while, but it will always crumble, because your soul no longer accepts living under orders that don't respect your truth. You're trying to control what needs to be released. You're trying to impose rules where there should be listening. You're trying to follow a pattern that was made for another version of yourself, a version that may never have truly been you. How many times have you tried to fit in? How many times have you pushed yourself too hard just to meet external expectations? How many times have you emotionally abused yourself trying to follow routines that didn't respect your inner rhythm? Rumi also wrote, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you." But we resisted. We resist because we are afraid. Fear of letting go of the controller. Fear of admitting that we no longer know where to begin. Fear of looking inside and not liking what we find. But what if I told you that this resistance is the veil that hides your strength? Could it be that behind that noisy mind, full of doubts and self-sabotage, there is a soul that already knows the way? You don't need to become a different person to be disciplined. You need to come back to yourself. And it begins with a profound act of self-acceptance. Have you ever looked at yourself with kindness? Have you ever listened to your own pain without trying to silence it? Have you ever noticed how many times your undisciplined behavior was actually a cry for rest, for affection, for reconnection? The spiritual root of your blockage lies in this. You've learned that you only deserve love when you're productive. You only feel worthy when you are doing something. And any pause becomes a source of guilt. Any rest becomes failure. Any attempt to do things differently becomes a threat. But discipline isn't about doing more. It's about doing it with presence. It's about acting consciously. It's about saying yes to what brings you closer to your essence, and no to what fuels your self-neglect. You don't need a new planner. You need a new pact with your soul. A pact where you promise to stop harming yourself in the name of goals that don't align with your internal rhythm. Where you promise to listen before imposing. He will welcome before demanding. Allow yourself to be yourself before trying to mold yourself. The mind will resist. She'll try to convince you that it's a waste of time. He'll repeat the same old phrases. That won't work. You always end up back where you started. You've already tried that before. But you're not the same person you used to be. Because now you know. Now you see. Now you are waking up. And awakening, as Rumi reveals, is not always a gentle light that warms you. Sometimes it's an internal earthquake that tears down everything that was false, so that the true can emerge. Can you feel this happening inside you? Do you feel something stirring? as if a dormant part of you is beginning to open its eyes? Comment below if these words resonated with you. Write, "I'm willing to listen to what my soul is trying to tell me." Or if you prefer, simply, "I'm ready to stop running away from myself." Because when you write, you're not just participating, you are committing to the truth. It's touching the root of the problem. And when the root begins to heal, the rest flourishes. Most people believe that discipline is about strength, about control, about forcing yourself, waking up earlier, resisting temptations, ignoring tiredness, maintaining an almost military rigidity. But what if I told you that this path, this rigidity, this internal struggle, is exactly what is keeping you away from true discipline? Have you ever tried pushing a door that opens the other way? This is what you do when you try to discipline yourself by force. You push and push, you exhaust yourself, and the door won't open. But when you stop, breathe, observe, you realize that the movement isn't pushing, it's pulling. The key is not in imposing your will, it's in listening. There is a hidden key to everything you experience, and that key lies in something that most people deeply fear: to delivery. Yes, true discipline does not stem from willpower. It flourishes when you surrender the resistance you hold against yourself. You don't need more energy. You need less blocking. You don't need to become someone else. You need to let go of what that needs to be. Rumi said, "You were born with wings. Why do you prefer to crawl through life? But how can someone fly while carrying such old emotional burdens? How can someone be lighthearted if everything within them is control, self-judgment, and repression?" You have come to believe that discipline means saying no to what you want. But true discipline is saying yes to what you really need. And often what you need isn't a new plan, it's a new way of seeing things. You grew up thinking you were unruly, but what you were was hurt, rejected, guilty of feeling too much, punished for not functioning like the others, forced to smile when he wanted to scream. And all of this has led you to build a version of yourself that is constantly trying to compensate, to make up for the love that was never given, to compensate for the validation that never came, compensating for the fear of failure with control, rigidity, and self-demand. But the soul does not flourish in rigidity. The soul needs space. The soul needs presence. The soul needs to be listened to. The hidden key to discipline is recognizing that you don't need to fight against your nature. You need to work with her. You need to talk to her. You need to stop forcing yourself and start integrating. And that requires something that few have the courage to do: vulnerability. Yes, the same vulnerability you've avoided your whole life. The same one they taught you to hide, to silence, to repress. But that's where the secret lies. Because when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, when you admit that you're tired, when you realize you no longer know where to go, you finally let go of the controller. And when control falls, the flow comes in. The flow of intuition, the flow of the soul, the flow of discipline that arises from consistency, not from oppression. You know that feeling when you get pleasure from doing something? When do we lose track of time? When does something move us from the inside out, effortlessly? And that's true discipline. That which arises from a deep alignment between what you feel, what you need, and what you decide to do. You are not late for what your soul recognizes as true. Don't forget to practice what heals you. You don't procrastinate when you're in communion with your truth. But this cannot be achieved through more pressure. It is achieved with more permission. Permission to be who you are. Permission to make mistakes. Permission to start over as many times as necessary. Permission to feel everything you've tried to hide for years. The discipline that liberates is silent. She doesn't scream. She whispers. She doesn't assert herself. She invites. She says, "Take it easy. Let's go together." There's no need to prove yourself. Just be. And when you enter that field, everything changes. The food you choose, the sleep you respect, the routine you build, everything begins to emerge from a place of love, not oppression. You start taking care of yourself because you love yourself, not because you hate yourself. You start acting consistently because you understand the value of your energy, not because you're afraid of failing. This is the key that no one taught you, because the world profits from your pain. He profits from your haste. He profits from your guilt, profit from your self-demand. But his soul was not born to be manipulated. She was born to flourish. And every time you are silent and listen, every time you stop running away and feel, Every time you look in the mirror with tenderness, you turn that key, and each turn is a step towards your truth. Now breathe with me. Feel where those words resonated. Understand what's happening in there. This small movement, this slight loosening of defenses, is the beginning of healing. Comment below if this made sense to you. He writes, I choose to break free from rigidity. Or if you prefer, say, the discipline that springs from within my soul is the one I will follow. These sentences are not just comments. They are agreements. With you, with your soul, with the lightness you deserve to live. Before, I also believed that discipline was a matter of brute force. I would wake up with the weight of the world on my shoulders, looking at my to-do list as if it were a sentence. And every time I failed to accomplish what I had set out to do, I would sink into guilt. A dry, silent, corrosive guilt. And it came accompanied by voices, those internal ones that said, you failed again. You will never change. You can't maintain anything. And the cruelest thing is that, on some level, I believed those voices. Because when the pain is old, it disguises itself as truth. I remember a specific period in my life when everything seemed to slip away. I would wake up already tired, not from lack of sleep, but from excessive self-criticism. I made promises every night. I'll start tomorrow. And when tomorrow arrived, I felt crushed by everything I had imposed on myself. The routine I created was beautiful on paper, full of schedules, goals, habits, but it was built rigidly, without listening, without compassion. It was as if I were trying to build a house on unstable emotional ground, and every time my emotions trembled, everything collapsed. What remained was more guilt, more frustration, more promises made under pressure, more exhaustion, until one day I stopped. Not out of wisdom, but out of exhaustion. I could no longer pretend I could cope. I could no longer maintain that mask that all it took was wanting it. And in that silence that exhaustion imposes, something began to reveal itself. I began to realize that there was a part of me that was never heard, the wounded part, the part that had learned from an early age that love and acceptance came with conditions, the part that grew up believing that, to be valued, it was necessary to be impeccable. And this part was the one that sabotaged my discipline, because every time I tried to impose something on myself, it felt attacked, repressed, and it defended itself in the only way it knew how, blocking, procrastinating, making me run away. It was at that point that I understood. I didn't need more rules. I needed inner reconciliation, not with my schedule, but with my history. I started exchanging pressure for presence. Instead of waking up with my mind screaming orders, I began to start the day with a question. What does my soul need today? And the answer often didn't come in the form of tasks. It came in the form of pauses, of breaths, of small rituals that reconnected me with myself. I used to plan the entire month at once, big, detailed goals, but I could never accomplish them. It dragged me down, so I stopped. I started planning only the day, one step at a time. Sometimes, just an intention. It wasn't about the quantity of things done anymore, but about the quality of my presence in each one. And that's when discipline began to flourish, not as a punishment, but as a dance. I remember the first week I managed to keep my commitments to myself without forcing myself. It was as if my body had discovered a rhythm it always knew, but that I never let it touch. I drank water because I cared. I moved because it felt good to be alive. I sat down to write not because I had to produce, but because something inside me was asking to be put out into the world. And I know that maybe you're listening to this and thinking, but I can't even begin. And I understand, because I felt that way too. That's why I want to invite you not to think about changing everything. Forget that for a moment. Think about changing one gesture, one intention. Start the day by asking yourself, how can I take care of myself today without harming myself? And allow the answer to come without haste. Perhaps it's a silent walk. Perhaps it's drinking coffee, paying attention to the flavor. Perhaps it's turning off your cell phone for 20 minutes and listening to what your soul has been trying to tell you for years. Discipline begins in these spaces. It doesn't spring from the outside in. It flourishes when there is truth. I met a woman a few years ago who told me something I've never forgotten. She said she spent her life trying to control everything. Her schedule, her children, her work, her diet. Everything was calculated, meticulously planned. But inside, she was empty. Until one day, in a moment of collapse, she decided to stop. She threw away her planner, she turned off her alarms, and for weeks she simply listened to what her body asked for. She slept when she felt sleepy. She ate when she was hungry. She cried when she felt like it. And in that space of apparent chaos, something reorganized itself. She told me, when I started listening to myself again, everything fell into place. Discipline returned on its own, because I stopped neglecting myself. And that stuck with me, because that's it. True discipline is the opposite of self-neglect. It's the daily practice of choosing not to betray yourself, not to be silent, not to ignore yourself. You don't need a revolution, you need a reunion with your forgotten self, with that child who was once taught that feeling was weakness, that making mistakes was failing, that slowing down was laziness. Look at her, bring her back, sit with her, ask her what she needs, and you will realize that the discipline you so desperately seek begins when you allow that part of you to trust you again. And I'm not talking about romanticizing disorganization, nor saying that everything will magically resolve itself. No, it will hurt, it will require patience, it will demand silence, it will frustrate external expectations, but it will heal. And this healing will restore to you a sense of inner dignity that no productivity technique can provide. When you treat yourself with respect, when you honor your boundaries, when you stop rushing to fit in, discipline becomes a consequence. You no longer need to force yourself. You invite yourself. You guide yourself. You lead yourself. And that is freedom. If this text resonated with you, write in the comments, "I'm listening to myself for the first time." Or, if you prefer, say, "My discipline is born from my rediscovery." These words are more than just phrases. They are mirrors. They are seeds of transformation. They are a beginning. Because sometimes all the soul needs is to know that it is no longer alone. You are not the failure you have accumulated. You are not the weight of your delays, nor the sum of the goals you have not met. You are not the absence of discipline. You are, above all, someone who is learning to remember who you are. And this process, it is not small, it is sacred. This is where the shift in consciousness begins. When you stop identifying with what you haven't yet achieved, and begin to recognize yourself through everything you have survived. You've endured nights of emptiness, days when no one saw you, moments when the world seemed to spin while you stood still, unsure if you were still part of anything. And yet, you are here. And that, in itself, is an act of spiritual discipline. Rumi said, "Don't settle for stories of how things happened to others. Awaken your own legend." And awakening your own legend begins when you look in the mirror and decide, "I will no longer be reduced to the parts of myself that are wounded. Yes, they exist, but they are not all that you are. You have more strength than you imagine, more light than you believe, and more wisdom than you have been allowed to access until now." Because for many years, the world tried to erase that. They told you that strength was not crying, that focus was not stopping, that success was not feeling. But all of that was a disservice to your soul. And now, you have the chance to reverse that, to change course, to make peace with your truth. And no, this doesn't require you to transform yourself overnight. It doesn't require you to become a new person in 7 steps. It only requires a silent yet powerful decision, the decision not to give up anymore. This is true spiritual discipline. It is born from the choice to listen to oneself, even when the world is shouting, to embrace oneself, even when the voice of self-judgment tries to silence you, to follow a path of truth, even if it seems slower, stranger, more lonely. But it's not lonely, because on this path, you find yourself. And when you find yourself, you never feel alone again. A shift in consciousness isn't a magical event. It's a series of small gestures, small no's to the old pattern, small yes to what you truly need. It's when you're about to give up again, but you stop, you breathe, and you say to yourself, "I am here. I see you. I choose you." This daily, silent, and firm choice takes root. It shapes a new internal structure, and in time, you won't even remember the last time you had to force yourself, because everything flows when you are aligned with your essence. You will realize that discipline is not about winning internal battles. It's about not fueling unnecessary wars. It's about walking with your pain without letting it guide you. It's about acknowledging your shadows but not letting them dictate your steps. You begin to observe yourself with more tenderness. Instead of asking yourself, "Why can't I?" you start asking, "What's behind this resistance?" You stop demanding performance and start offering presence. And this kind of awareness changes everything, because it changes the source from which you act. You stop acting to compensate and start acting to express yourself. You don't train your body because you hate yourself. You take care of it because it's a temple. You don't work tirelessly to prove your worth. You create because you're connected to something bigger. You don't keep promises out of fear of guilt, but because you've learned to respect yourself. Gradually, you realize that what you were looking for outside was always within you. Clarity, the force, the direction, consistency, and all of this was dormant, waiting for you to stop blaming yourself and start reconnecting. This is the awareness that transforms. When you understand that it's not the absence of discipline that defines who you are, it is the courage to return to yourself every day that builds your new story. Rumi said, "The wound is the place through which the light enters you." What if the discipline you're searching for is entering precisely through that wound, through your pain, through your vulnerability? From now on, choose your truth. Choose to be guided by what you feel, not by what you've been taught to fear. Choose to slow down in order to listen. Choose to create inner space so that your soul can breathe. You don't need to punish yourself anymore. You don't need to run anymore. You just need to be whole, present, open. And it all begins with this shift in consciousness. You are not the chaos you lived through. You are the consciousness that survived the chaos. And now, it's ready to bloom. If this made sense to you, if any part of what was said here touched you where no one else usually reaches, write in the comments, "I'm coming back to myself." Or if you prefer, share it. "My strength comes from my truth." These words are anchors. They not only reinforce your inner listening, but also help others who are here with you to recognize themselves as well. Because together, in silence and truth, we transform ourselves. Now that this new awareness has begun to awaken within you, it's time to take another step and understand what, in practice, can be done to make this transformation a reality, not as a passing project, but as a new way of living. Because the spiritual shift needs to translate into actions. The soul asks for silence, but it also asks for movement. And this movement needs to be respectful, gentle, conscious, and profound. At 40, your body has already learned many wrong paths. Your brain has become accustomed to emotional shortcuts, and these automatic routes pull you day after day away from yourself. Therefore, it's no use demanding an abrupt change. It's no use promising that everything will change now. The soul doesn't respond well to violence. What it understands, what it accepts is the process. And the process, like nature, has its own rhythm, a rhythm that only flourishes when it is embraced. Therefore, the first step on this new path to transformation is stop trying to fix yourself and begin to understand yourself. It seems simple, but it's one of the greatest inner leaps anyone can take. Instead of waking up thinking, "What do I have to change today?" wake up asking, "What within me is still asking for attention?" This question changes everything, because it shifts the focus away from self-criticism and returns the focus to listening. And listening is the fertile ground for true discipline. It is from this listening that you begin to build something far more powerful than a routine. You begin to build a relationship with yourself. And this relationship needs consistency, not rigidity. It needs small daily practices that remind you of who you are and that support you when everything seems to revert to chaos. I'm not talking about ready-made formulas. I'm talking about gestures with soul. Start with intentions, not goals. Goals are numbers, intentions are anchors. An intention is a light promise made in silence just between you and your truth. Today I will take care of my body with more presence. Today I choose not to abandon myself. Today I will say no to what hurts me, even if it scares me. Do you see the difference? A goal demands results. An intention cultivates roots. And the more you repeat this practice, the more your nervous system understands that it is no longer at war. That there is now a new commander within you. A commander who leads with listening and not with oppression. A commander who knows that the most effective path is the one that respects limits and not the one that rushes through everything. Another essential tool in this process is space. Yes, space. Because an overloaded mind has no room to change. And when I talk about space, I'm not just talking about physical time. I'm talking about emotional space. You need to clear out excess internal noise. You need to protect yourself from environments that drain your energy. You need to detach yourself from content, voices, and stimuli that reinforce the feeling that you are behind, wrong, broken. If every day you consume content that tells you that you have to be better, more productive, more controlled, your body will withdraw. It will go back to defending itself. Therefore, start replacing that with spaces that remind you of what is essential. Moments of silence, readings that touch the soul, music that warms the heart, quotes from Rumi that remind you that your light is already there, even if obscured by the rush of the world. Create rituals. Rituals are practical ways to reprogram the mind and, at the same time, nourish the soul. They don't need to be long or complex. A daily moment with yourself, in silence, with a lit candle, a notebook in hand, and a deeper breath, is already a ritual. And ritual is sacred language. Your subconscious recognizes this as truth, as structure, as home. And here's something few have the courage to say. You will fail. Yes, there will be days when you forget all of this. You'll go back to autopilot. You'll abandon yourself again. But that doesn't mean you've lost everything. It just means there are still parts of you that are afraid. And that's okay. The spiritual path isn't a straight line. It's a spiral. And each time you return more conscious, more present, more whole. Therefore, have compassion for your setbacks. Celebrate each small step, not as technical progress, but as an act of self-love. Discipline, in this new perspective, is not about always doing things right. It's about consciously returning every time you get lost. And that return is a sacred act. Change your internal vocabulary. Stop telling yourself, I am undisciplined. Stop repeating, I am lazy. I can't cope. Words shape inner worlds. Instead say, I am learning to listen to myself. I am building new paths. I am reconciling with myself. These affirmations are seeds, and the more you repeat them, the more your mind begins to accept them as reality. Remember also to care for your body as part of your soul. Body and spirit are not separate. How you eat, move, breathe, all of this directly influences your ability to remain present and consequently, disciplined. The body is the temple where the soul dwells. If you live tired, inflamed, disconnected from your own body, your discipline will always be a struggle. When the body is at peace, the soul manifests itself more clearly. So, look at your habits not with judgment, but with reverence. Ask your body what it needs. Sometimes it's rest. Sometimes it's movement. Sometimes it's food that truly nourishes, not something that just fills a void. This listening is also part of the new discipline. And finally, remember, you don't have to do this alone. The spiritual journey is silent, yes, but it doesn't have to be lonely. Sharing what you feel, making space for genuine dialogue, allowing yourself to be seen in vulnerability, all of this strengthens your emotional structure. And the more real support you have, the easier it will be to sustain this new way of living. If these words resonated with you, write in the comments, I am rebuilding myself with lightness. Or if you want something even more intimate and genuine, say, the discipline I seek begins with taking care of myself. Because when you write, you anchor, you confirm for yourself, you transform listening into choice. And conscious choice is the beginning of everything. There's a place inside you that never shouts but always knew, a silent, untouched space, even after all the noise life has brought. That space is where true discipline resides, not the kind built by force, but the kind that blossoms from listening. Listening to what is real, what is essential, what is eternal. It is in this place that everything begins to change, even if nothing seems different on the outside. Have you ever noticed how the world has taught you to make noise all the time? Noise disrupts productivity, noise with the goals, noise from social media, ego, and information overload. But noise, however much it tries to seem alive, is often just a sophisticated form of escape. We flee to the noise because we don't want to hear what exists in the silence. And it is precisely at this point that the problem lies. Because silence, even though it frightens us, is the only space where the truth reveals itself. It is in silence that the soul whispers. It is in silence that the body speaks. It is in silence that the mind slows down and shows the inner paths that were hidden by excess. And you need these paths. You need to rediscover them, because they are your compass. Rumi knew this. He said, "Silence is the language of God. Everything else is a poor translation." This phrase, spoken with the simplicity of someone who understood the human soul, carries a powerful revelation. Because as long as we are searching for solutions in the noise of the mind, of pressures, of demands, we will always be trying to control the uncontrollable. But when we return to silence, something falls into place. True discipline arises from internal control, not external repression. You don't need to shout to be strong. You need to quiet down in order to become whole. And this process is not passive. Silence is one of the greatest acts of courage you can commit, because silence means confronting what you've tried to keep quiet about for years. Silence deconstructs the image. He exposes the pain that was buried. It shows you the replays you didn't want to see anymore. He reveals the fear of being and the desire to finally be seen. But it is in this raw territory that true power is born. Because when you see yourself without masks, you stop hiding from yourself. And only those who stop hiding can walk with confidence. Meditation is the bridge to that silence. But I'm not talking about meditation as a technique. I'm talking about it as a state. Meditation is neither about emptying the mind nor forcing the body into immobility. To meditate is to dwell within oneself. It's about returning to the present moment with kindness. It's about allowing life as it is to be felt without being denied. At first, the mind will resist. She'll say she can't. Things are going to get heated. It will bring to-do lists, worries, and voices vying for attention. But if you breathe and stay still, 1 more second, 2, you'll start noticing small cracks, like light entering through the cracks. And it is in these cracks that his discipline begins to emerge. Because meditation organizes chaos. It doesn't solve all problems, but it teaches you how not to drown in them. She doesn't change the facts, but she changes her attitude towards them. She shows you that you don't need to react impulsively. You can observe, breathe, and choose consciously. This power of choice is what sustains discipline. Because discipline isn't about doing what needs to be done haphazardly. It's about doing it with presence. It's about being fully present at the moment of choice. It's recognizing that you have control over yourself, not through fear, but through clarity. And clarity is only born in silence. Therefore, I invite you to create this space in your routine. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, you don't need incense or music or a perfect pillow. All it takes is your decision to be with you, to close your eyes and ask, what am I feeling right now? What inside me is trying to be heard? What does my soul need me to see? Don't try to interpret. Don't try to rationalize it. Just feel it. Let it come. If pain comes, embrace it. If fear comes, embrace it. If nothing happens, just breathe. Because even in emptiness, there is a calling. Over time, this habit transforms your relationship with the world. You start listening before you react. Start feeling before you decide. It starts acting without needing to prove anything. And this change, however subtle, gives you back control of your own life. People will start to notice. They'll notice something different. They'll say you look lighter, more focused, more present. But they won't be able to explain it. Because what changed was invisible. It was internal. It was in silence. And you'll realize you don't need to run anymore. Because it has already found its rhythm. Your own pace. The one who has always been there. Hidden behind the noise of demands. The rush. The fear of failure. Silence is not the same as stopping. It's about moving forward consciously. It's about choosing with your soul. It's about creating an inner space where your discipline becomes a reflection of your listening. There is no spiritual path without silence, and there is no true discipline without self-knowledge. You can even try to control everything from the outside, but if you don't control what's happening inside, it all comes back. Everything repeats itself. Everything imprisons you. Therefore, choose silence as your master. Choose meditation as your ally. Choose your breath as your refuge. And discover what happens when you stop running away from yourself. If you feel it's time to listen to your soul more deeply, write in the comments, I am creating space within myself. Or if you want something even more intimate, in silence, I found the beginning of my discipline. These words are yours, but they are also seeds for those who come after you. They create an echo. They strengthen. They keep this space alive. And when you start to change, the universe doesn't respond with fireworks. It responds with tests. Because every real transformation challenges the old structures you built to protect yourself. And those structures, even though painful, are still part of you. So don't be fooled. The path of discipline that springs from the soul isn't made up only of good days. It's forged in falls, setbacks, and doubts that return like strong waves, and sometimes drag you back into the sea you thought you'd already crossed. But listen to this carefully. Just because you fell doesn't mean you're back where you started. You are simply rediscovering boundaries that still need to be loved. You're discovering that what you called a weakness was just a part of you asking for attention. You're realizing that what you considered a relapse might just be your soul asking you for more depth. And it won't be easy. There will be days when your mind will scream. You'll want to give up. You'll convince yourself that you're wasting your time. You'll use all those old voices to try and make you go back. She'll say that meditating is useless. You have better things to do. That these breaks don't change anything. Listening to the soul is beautiful, but it's not useful in the real world. She will remind you of all the promises you've made and not kept. It will bring back that old guilt, that shame that hides deep in your eyes when you find yourself breaking another routine. And you'll feel like disappearing, to remain silent, to stop everything. And all of this is part of it, not as a failure, but as part of the cure. Because healing is, above all, recognizing that you still feel pain. It's about allowing it to surface without needing to be silenced by bad habits. It's about observing emotional chaos without needing to escape to distractions. It's about remaining present, even when the mind begs for anesthesia. Rumi said, "Suffering only persists when you refuse to go through it." This phrase may sound harsh, but it carries a powerful message. The call to stay, to cross, to understand that it's not about eliminating the pain, but about going through it until it reveals what it was trying to teach you. And during this process, doubts will arise. You'll wonder if you're on the right track. You will compare your journey to that of others. You're going to feel behind schedule. You'll think you're alone. But all of this is the ego trying to protect its old self. The ego is afraid of disappearing, and he will fight with everything he has. It is at this moment that your choice becomes sacred, the choice to stay, even without results, even without complete clarity, even when the world outside demands haste. You continue. You repeat your ritual even though you feel nothing. You write in your notebook even when you have no words. You remain silent even when the inner chaos is screaming. And then, amidst the chaos, something new emerges. A space emerges. A crack. A moment of peace amidst the turmoil. And you feel that something has changed. He can't explain it yet, but he knows that things have changed. These are the small miracles that sustain the journey, and they only come to those who stay. For those who understand that the spiritual path is not linear, it's spiral-shaped. You will revisit the old places, but with a new awareness, and that changes everything. True discipline, the kind that comes from the soul, is a dance between presence and compassion. It's not about never failing again. It's about knowing how to come back every time you fail. It's about not making the fall your home. It's about recognizing the triggers, embracing the fears, and still taking another step. Yes, there will be days when you will feel lost, but being lost is also part of the journey, because only those who are in motion get lost. Only those who leave their place get lost. And if you feel lost right now, know this: you are exactly where you need to be. Perhaps today is one of those difficult days. Perhaps everything you've heard so far is being challenged by that part of you that only knows rigidity, control, and haste. But there is another part, smaller perhaps, gentler, quieter. He's waking up, and that part knows. You know there's no going back now. You know that the discipline you seek is not a destination. It's a way of being in the world. So when fear comes, breathe. When doubt overwhelms you, remain silent. When guilt tries to drag you back, choose with more tenderness. Choose not to blame yourself for not being consistent. Choose not to punish yourself for still falling. Choose not to give up on everything just because it's not perfect yet. Choose to continue, even if slowly, even if it's unsafe, even if tired, because the soul doesn't need speed. She really needs it. If you are experiencing this moment of conflict, challenge, or temptation to give up, write it in the comments below. I choose to stay, even when it's difficult. Or, if this resonates with you more deeply, share it. My pain is sacred. and I choose to go through it. These words are not ready-made answers. They are reminders. They are like seeds sown in the soil of your present moment, and those who plant with soul harvest with lightness. And there's a point in the journey where everything starts to change more profoundly. It's not when you finally stick to your routine for 7 days straight, nor when you see some external result. True transformation happens when you understand that discipline at its core was never about rigidity, goals, or perfection. It was always about love, self-love, and that changes everything. For a long time, you may have believed that being disciplined meant forcing yourself to do things you didn't want to do, conforming to standards that didn't align with your truth, following rules that came from the outside, trying to be accepted, trying to prove yourself, trying to finally feel that you are enough. And with each failure, each time you couldn't accomplish what you set out to do, that old script came back. Guilt, judgment, the weight of seeing yourself as someone weak or incapable. But what if you could look at all of this in a different way? What if the root of your indiscipline isn't weakness, but a misunderstood cry for attention? What if your self-sabotaging behavior is actually an internal attempt to protect yourself from the pain of feeling inadequate once again? The truth is that no one heals through violence. No one flourishes by being forcibly uprooted from the soil. The soul only grows where there is love. And that's why true discipline begins when you start treating yourself with more kindness. Listen more respect. Rumi said, "You must pour out your heart like rain, and then allow it to bloom like a flower." That's the key, to release what's been held back. Let go of the burden of always trying to be perfect, and allow discipline to come, not as punishment, but as an expression of your love for yourself. You start acting consistently, not because you're forcing yourself, but because you start to care. You eat better because you don't want to hurt yourself anymore. You go to bed earlier because your body is asking for rest. You keep your promises to yourself because you understand that your word matters. And this change, though invisible on the outside, is the one that transforms the most. Because when you love yourself, you stop fighting against yourself. And every internal struggle consumes energy. Energy that you could be using to build, to grow, to feel. In this new context, discipline is not about control. It's careful. It's a commitment to your emotional, spiritual, and even physical health. That is to say, I deserve to live a light life. I deserve to listen to myself. I deserve not to abandon myself. And yes, loving yourself will also be a challenge, because you were taught that self-love was selfishness. They told you that you should always put others first, and you did it so many times that you lost yourself. But the love you offer to the world is only real when it comes from a true place. And if that place is empty, everything becomes an effort. Everything becomes a matter of obligation. Everything turns into frustration. Therefore, the invitation is different now. Not to be more productive, but to be kinder. Not to complete more tasks, but to be respected more deeply. Start with simple gestures. Take a bath as if you were also washing your soul. Eat as if you were offering your body something sacred. Speak to yourself in the same tone of voice you would use to calm an injured child. Look at your flaws with eyes of compassion, not of judgment. And notice what changes. Gradually, you will notice that the resistance you felt is beginning to subside. That procrastination decreases. The fear of failure is losing its power. Because now you are present. Now you're taking care of yourself. Now you are loving yourself. And when self-love enters the picture, everything that once seemed like an obligation transforms into a choice. You choose to move because you want to live longer. You choose to get organized because you want more peace. You choose to be whole because you know your worth. It's not about perfection. It's about being true to yourself. It's about making a promise to yourself and upon fulfilling it, not feeling pride in the accomplishment itself, but in having treated yourself with dignity. How many times have you broken promises to yourself without even realizing it? How many times have I said, "I'll do it later," and that later turned into never? How many times have you given everything to everyone else and left yourself for last? And what happened after all that? Did you feel stronger? Or did you feel increasingly distant from yourself? The self-love that sustains discipline is the kind that puts you at the center of your life without guilt. It's about understanding that by respecting yourself, you become more present for others. It's the one that no longer allows you to live based on emotional scarcity. You're not here to punish yourself. He is here to honor his reputation. And when discipline is born from that place, it lasts. because it no longer depends on fleeting motivation. It becomes part of your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who takes care of themselves, like someone who deserves to be cared for. You begin to walk with more confidence. Stop negotiating with what harms you, to protect its boundaries, saying no to what drains you, and saying yes to what nourishes you. This is the most powerful discipline, that which is born from love for who you are becoming. If this reflection stirred something within you, if you felt it's time to stop abandoning yourself in the name of performance, write it in the comments below. My discipline is an act of love for myself. Or if something even more personal touched you, share it. I'm learning to treat myself with the same kindness I've always shown to others. These sentences are not just written, they are statements. These are subtle compromises. These are seeds planted in the heart of the present moment. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you refused to continue living on autopilot. You've gone through every word, felt every silence, acknowledged your pain, and perhaps for the first time in a long time, looked at yourself more deeply. That's already courage. That's already discipline. That's already self-love in action. If this journey resonated with you, leave a like so that this content reaches more people who are also seeking genuine transformation. Subscribe to the channel right now, because here, each video is another step on your journey of healing, reconnection, and awakening. And the next step is already here. The next video is appearing on your screen now. Click on it. Continue on this path, because your soul has already said yes, and when the soul awakens, the rest flourishes.